Peace, family. Welcome to another topic of discussion. This is Blur Room. I did make a video earlier, so I promised you I'd make another video when I came home after I made some lunch. So check on in. So we'll discuss something very interesting. And again, let me give you my own, my own statement prior. This is just my take on channeling. So, this is not to throw shade at anyone who channels or those who get their intel solely through channeling. This is just my take on channeling. This is just how I rock, and this is how I discern information. So, peace, family. We're going to talk about channeling. Yeah, and I'm eating this. Look at my lunch. I didn't eat it yet. I'm hungry. So, look at that. Look at that beautiful lunch I have. Yum. This is a raw living. I'm going to do peppers, and I'm going to do some hummus. So I'm getting all my vitamin C and everything. So come on in. Check on in. And we'll get in. Yeah, it's so good. I love red peppers with hummus. If you've never done it and you get all your vitamin C, oh, it's so good for you. So check on in. I'll let you check in when I take a bite. Can I take a bite? You guys always say I'm always eating. Obviously, I'm a thickums. It is what it is, but at least it's healthy. Check on her. Oh my God. If you've never done red peppers and hummus, I'm sorry, eating when I'm talking to you. This is thebomb.com. It's organic hummus. Usually I make my own hummus. My little people don't like my hummus as much as they like this brand, but it's so good. Especially when you get your red peppers from your own garden. There's nothing like it. Oh my God. I'm doing the whole red thing today. If you want to heal your chakra, you do strawberries. Anything red, you do red. I know I'm sidebarring. You always get on me when I sidebar. Okay. Let me chew so I'm not rude. My mother would have an issue with me doing this video eating. She was like, that's absolutely rude. You don't eat when you're talking to people. Okay, so let me chew, and we'll get into it. I'll wait until some more people check in. Okay. I'm on a roll. I'm in that, what do you call it, the quickening? So all this information is just wanting to come out of me. So I'm just bringing it to you. I don't hold anything back from you. If there's something I can tell you and share, I'm going to share it with you because it's only for all of our benefit. Me holding back information is not beneficial. Only people who do that are like occultists who want to hold, who are gluttonous and hoarders of information. Hoarders hold on information. If anyone's healthy and they want for positivity and they want a better for their environment and those around them, they will always disclose good things that they learn themselves freely and effortlessly. If they're withholding good information, it's because they're hoarders, informational, spiritual hoarders, and they're not for the betterment of the environment. Anyway, so check on in. There's a discussion today. I just shared a video today in Cypher. Big up to my Cypher family. I was holding it down with the frequency. They're upholding the frequency. I love our Cypher family. Anyway, I love our family, all of you anyway, but I'm just saying, big up to the Cypher family. So I shared a video today about talking about attachments, demonic attachments, how drinking and drugs allows for attachment to your auric field. It allows beings to permeate and penetrate your auric field, creating holes and little vortexes, biovortexes, so that they can enter into your space and take over sometimes your vessel, depending on how unhealthy you are, or sometimes affect how you think. Very parasitic, almost like negative thought forms that take on form, and then they start to permeate your thoughts, your patterns, even your biosphere. So I talk about channeling because many people, I think they just ask me how I get in contact with beings because they assume, because majority of people out here on YouTube land and out there are channeling. A lot of people are quote unquote channeling. They're either channelers or they're getting their intel from channeling. That being said, I do zero channeling. Listen to me, family. I do zero channeling. I am not a fan of channelers or channeling. I don't discriminate against channelers or channeling. I just say that I know for a fact if you allow yourself channeling, what channeling does. Let's get to the meat and potatoes. What channeling does is allow for beings to infiltrate your biosphere, enter into you, and communicate information or intel for whatever you're inquiring or allot for or allow for. In order for these beings to come in to channel through you, you have to give your permission. Remember, a vampire can't come in your house unless you give them permission. I'm not saying all beings that are channeling getting vampires. I'm just stating this. You have to give these beings permission to come through you, to take over part of you, to sidebar your own consciousness for them to be able to communicate through your vessel. You're basically lending your vessel to other beings outside of yourself. Usually when channelers are channeling, they have some sort of systematic pattern of rituals that they do prior. Not all, but most for the most part. They usually do their breathing techniques to create a certain energetic field with the breathing, allowing for more receptivity to these energies coming through. They almost always, I've never heard a channeler not do it, give permission for these beings to enter through them, their physical biosphere, to take over for the most part, not fully, but they sidebar their own consciousness to have these beings utilize their vessel to communicate spiritual messages or whatever, what have you. Where I take issues with channeling is no healthy being, no higher being. Listen, family, this is my take. Like I said, this is not a sidebar to the channelers. Big up to the channelers and the people who listen to channelers. This is my take. This is my personal thoughts on channeling and why I take very little credence to those who get solely all their intel from channelers. Listen to what I said. Make sure you listen to my words. Hear what I said. I don't take full credence from those getting all their intel from channeling, based on the fact that I know from being a woman of a certain age, coming from backgrounds where I've seen a lot of occult rituals, I've seen a lot of all forms, whether it be Santeria, Voodoo, Vundun, Jangage, Obia, Wiccan practices, other forms of Masonic type of rituals. I've seen it all, and I've seen things personally firsthand when people are letting energetic beings in by choice, by bypassing. They're giving them their free will to these beings. They're allowing them in. Okay, so I've seen it. I'm not talking from a space of seeing, like, reading documents and not seeing things and not vesting it out for myself. I've seen a lot, and I'm grateful that I've gained a lot of information and wisdom from them. So what I'm saying is, usually channelers will do a breathing technique to lower their their breathing a little bit. It puts them in another state of consciousness, and also they do give permission for beings to come in through them and share messages. Where I take issue is anytime any being requires you to sidebar yourself, however that is. It's the same that I believe with the Orishas. I'll give the same claim to that with the Orishas. Like, if you have to give offerings of liquor and food that are very earthbound, I question the divinity of the beings, because angelic beings require zero of you. Demonics require payment in earthly things. Nothing that is higher up requires something physical, or like liquor or smoke or food. It does not. Angelics will just whisper. They don't need permission to go through to you. They can communicate through you by downloading you or coming through you, because they match your field. They don't have to do anything. They're not bypassing you, and they can only influence you a little bit. Angelics, they can't really make you, do anything. Whereas demonics can. But demonics will require you to bypass yourself. They will require for you to give up your free will, get an invitation, like channelers, give an invitation to be able to come through you and utilize your body. So many people would always ask me, are you a channeler and what have you? I say, absolutely not. And they ask why. I say, because how do you get your information or intel from these galactic beings that you so claim? Remember, they tell me I so claim to have interaction with. I said, I have interaction with beings physically, person to person, being to person, meaning that they will come to me in physical form, meaning I can taste, touch, hear them, or I will get telepathic messages that don't require me to open up my energetic field, my bios field, which is a protection, which is a shield. All of our aura helps to protect us. Your macabre protects you. It's a shield around you. I give zero beings any permission to bypass my energetic field. If they come to me, they have to come to me clean and clear and of the same frequency or above. My energetic field should shield if I'm healthy, meaning I'm not having demonic type of sex. I'm not having low field sex. I don't have tons of parasites, incubus, succubus latched on to me, creating holes in my auric field, allowing for attachments. I'm not hurting babies or animals or eating food that's low vibrational. These are all things that would impede on my energetic fields being, clean and clear and shielding me properly, giving me a nice protective zone outside of myself. So I would be able to, my energetic field would be able to spiritually discern beings so that they can't come too close to me unless they're matching that same frequency that's higher. Okay? So when I communicate with beings, the Andromedans, it is face-to-face, audio, hearing, seeing, or I get telepathic downloads, meaning that it's coming through. A lot of times when people talk about downloading can come from the sun. You can get information from the sun if you're healthy. And if you have the biosphere, meaning that your genetics allots for information, because not everybody's a sun being. Not everybody can get intel from the sun. Only those who are from Mother Tiamat, who are part of her genetic pool, bloodline, can get information and intel from the sun, to my knowledge. Meaning that if you are not part of Mother Earth, if you are not part of her grafting, you don't get the intel, the information that the sun gets. It only gives it to solar beings. That's a fact, to my knowledge, okay? Meaning that that's why a lot of indigenous people have worship, you see a lot of my videos where you see my sun on the wall. It freaked so many people out that I had a sun on the wall. It was insane. And I asked, why are you adverse to the sun? I knew why they were adverse to the sun, because if the sun on my wall bothers you, if you've never been to a household people who are indigenous always have suns on their wall. They usually have representations of the sun, the solar representation in their house, especially when you start going to Arizona, places where there's a lot of indigenous, a lot of Africanos have it, a lot of lunars have it, depending on where they're from. If you have an adversity to seeing the sun, I would question your divinity. And I know that if you're taking adversity from looking at the sun, you are not a solar being. So what I'm saying is that you can get downloads from, if you're healthy, especially your hair, you can get downloads from the sun. The sun gives you information via your crown chakra, your hair, which are like antennas. You take that information, you bring it in, you download it, and it gives you information based on your environment, what you should do. It kind of motivates you to do certain things if you're healthy. Your food, you can be downloaded with information through your food. That's why they're manipulating food right now through genetically modified food. Because they know if they encode the food with lower field energy, you take that in and you discern it. Your genetics discerns it, and it can mess with your genetics, and it messes with your healthy or lack of healthy homeostasis of your body. That's why they mess with the food. You get downloads from your food. If you eat locally, you know how I promote this. If you eat local fruits or you grow your own fruits and vegetables, you will always get intel from your food that will give you information biologically, and you will have downloads of whatever's necessary for you to coexist, cohesively in your environment. That's another form of downloads. When beings are contacting other beings through channeling, they're allowing these beings to bypass their biosphere, the thing that is supposed to protect you. Like, listen, if you come to my house and I don't know you and you didn't get an invitation, darn Skippy, you are being held out. I will come and I won't open my door. And if you consistently knock on my door, you might be met with some force. I'm just saying. It's the same thing with channeling. If you are inviting beings that you cannot source out. Now listen, that's why channeling, I don't say that it's not all legitimate, but you can't source out whether the beings on the other side are malevolent or benevolent. You cannot, based on the fact that you don't know where this is coming from. So people will say to me when they're channeling, listen, I tell the beings that they can only come through me if they are positive. Listen, it's the same with the Orishas with me. Any being that would require for you to bypass your own protection shield, meaning your auric field, your energetic field, or your macabre, whatever you call it, any being that requires for you to take your guard off, listen to me, family, to be able to permeate you inside and sidebar your consciousness, I would question what type of being would require that. That's not a divine being. And a lot of times, I remember, and listen, big up to the channelers. When I ever say something, like I said, I'm not disrespecting, I'm telling you my own personal take. It's not to disrespect any channelers or people who get information from channels. I'm telling you why I feel the way I feel. I remember going to a couple of, like I said, I've gone to different practices and so on. I've seen Native American rituals where you see things. And when I had a level of waking up, that's how I was able to break the code of disillusion. I was able to see little aspects of spirits around people or feel them when they were in the room. As my energy field started to raise, one of my capabilities was to be able to sometimes see the beings that would come in the room or around beings during rituals. Especially during rituals, you can see them sometimes. You see shadows, or sometimes you see the little glitter around people. It's very interesting. You should start to, if you get a chance or you're that privileged enough to have beings allow you to, witness their rite of passages, sometimes fertility rituals, what have you, whatever it is. I've been able to see those. So I remember going to, especially when I was having issues with the Nazi, the Nazi that I shed. I went up to upstate New York. I think it's called Gatlinburg, New York. Maybe somebody could. I think it's Gatlinburg, New York. It's past Westchester County. Anyone who's from New York would know. It's like Gatlinburg. It's like a little spiritual town with mountains. It's very beautiful. They were having this big not a powwow, like a gathering. It was some channeling being done. It's very interesting. I drove like an hour to go here. I liked the lady who was coming up. She actually flew in from Australia. She's not from Australia, but she was like a master channeler. So I went up to this place because I was actually going up to get some candles and some fun stuff from Gatlinburg. It's really a cute town. If you've never been there, it's really pretty. The people there are all spiritual. I actually went to spoken word and I actually did some poetry there, up there. Big up to the peeps from that little town. Anyway. So I went there and I sat in a circle for this lady who was channeling. Again, she just flew in from from Australia. She's like a big time channeler. I don't remember her name and I hate that I can't give her, oh no, it's not Gatlinburg, Tennessee. It's Gatlinburg, New York. It's upstate New York. Anybody who knows, my New York people, my Westchester County people may know the name. Maybe I'm not saying it right. It's like past, it's not Putnam County. I don't know. Anyway, this is years ago. So anyway, I went to this thing before I was going to spoken word, which was at nighttime at this really cool, like Gothic looking church. It was really, really nice. People were fabulous. They all had like fruits and vegetables for anyway, I'm sidebarring. So I sat in this channeling, circle. And the lady actually came in. She flew in directly from Australia. So she came in. She's really, really nice. Blonde hair, short cut, really vibrant blue eyes. Her energy was so pleasant or what have you. So when she came in, I noticed there was a breeze. Now remember, I'm a woman I've been a part of this world for a long time. Listen to me, family. There was a breeze. Now I've been to other places where people channel, but this was probably the most intense. there was like a breeze with her. There was no door open. This wasn't something that I could discern as being separate from her, like an elemental thing coming in, you know, like someone closed the door. No, there was a breeze with her. And when she walked past me, I felt the breeze, but like a brushing. Like, I can't explain it, like a brushing. Anybody who's gone to channeling, maybe you know what I'm talking about. Maybe I'm not explaining it properly. It's like a brushing when she walked by. And then she went on stage. We're all sitting on the floor. You know, I'm doing Indian style. I'm a hippie at nature. Remember, in my past life, I was a hippie drug addict who died tragically, but I was hippie. So I was a flower child in past life. I probably have a lot of that residue still on me in this life. But anyway, so she came in. She sat down on the stage. They made her comfortable. Remember, I got the breeze past her, and there was like a brushing. And as she's on stage, she says, hey, everyone, you know, I just want to get comfortable. It took her a minute. And she said, listen, I have to go through this process to allow for the for this transmission. She called it a transmission to come through. So I'm looking, I'm interested because I'm not critical, but I look at little things. Like the little things maybe not everybody notices. I'm a little bit of a New Yorker, so I kind of look at all the intricacy of things just my nature being kind of paranoid. So I do look at things very intricately. So she's on stage and she goes through, she gets comfortable, she's fine, she's in her chair. They had fixed the lighting a little bit, and she started to do a breathing technique. And you can see her breathing deep breaths, she's closed her eyes and so on. Now, what I would notice is the room changed energetic fields, meaning that where the room was kind of mute, if you know what I'm talking about, it's mute, the room got kinetic energy, meaning that there was kinetic energy coming in the room. And how I noticed it, some of you heard this story because you know me already, so you've heard the story, so you can just bypass this video because you heard me say this already. This kinetic energy came in and it started to make, I'm sitting Indian style, it started to make me sway. Listen to me, family, to sway, like the energy made me sway. It's interesting. I allowed a feeling of flow. And the person next to me was a gentleman. He was real cool, young guy. He was doing the same, like it was moving the bodies. And I noticed that I had to go with my own discernment. I felt that the energies in the room changed. There was no music. She didn't have any music playing. The energy in the room changed. It moved the body from side to side, meaning that the kinetic energy raised, people's bodies were moving. But I felt anxiety. Listen to me, family. I felt a little anxiety because I wasn't okay with something manipulating the field around me. So in my mind, I said, what did I say? I said, I disallow any being in my field, in my perimeters, to infiltrate my space. I said something like into that. I remember I said it in my head, and automatically whatever was going on in the room with others, bam, it was like a bubble around me. I felt it. I felt it kind of push everything away because I wasn't allowing whatever was going on. I don't know her. I don't know her people. I don't know I didn't know her personally. I wasn't cool with something moving me like that. It wasn't, I don't say that it was negative, but I had a little bit of anxiety. Could just be my own paranoia to this, but I wasn't okay with that. And she started to like a weird, some people call light language, some weird, chicka type of language. Light language sounds differently depending on what they're pulling in. So she says that, and then all of a sudden she says with a loud voice that doesn't seem quite from her, like some weird voice that was hers, but loud with some sort of Scottish or English accent, like some sort of Scottish or English accent. If you look at a lot of these channelers, they always have the same kind of accent, like what likened to like leprechaun sound like on all these movies. Da-da, hey there, I'm here, a weird accent. I'm not judging, I'm just saying they come with that same accent. And she's talking and stuff, and as I'm watching her, I'm looking around her and I'm seeing, now it's very slight, I'm seeing a being around her that doesn't look very, very light. When I say it didn't make me feel good looking at this being, and I could see it coming close to her, like coming on her from the side, her ear, and I could see it pushing towards her, whispering in her ear. I could see it. It was like a shadow at first. I can't say, I wish I could just say these things in a way that would be more like you could understand, but it was whispering in her ear, and and look doesn't matter, because some light beings, some angelic beings can look like demons to some of us, they've ruined our view of things. So it doesn't mean because it looks a certain way, it does not mean it's demonic or whatever. But the being was whispering her, and I could see it whispering, and it didn't look right. But when I noticed it, the being turned and looked at me immediately. And she started to talk to me. Oh, I'm getting excited. I'm sorry. And it started to talk to me. She started to talk to me. The being looked directly at me. And before she talked to me, the being looked at me first, because the being could tell that I could see it. Do you see what I mean? I could see it. So I sat there. I'm protected. I made sure my bubble was good, because I don't know what that is. It caught me looking at it, and it saw that it's whatever energy I'm permeating that allows them to know that we see them. It's something that a lot of the ET groups and a lot of these beings walking around that are, hiding themselves, they can feel when you can see them. It's like an energy we permeate. It's like something around our field that changes, that lets them know we can see them. She started to talk to me, and she's talking in this odd Irish, English, Scottish accent, and telling me, I taped it too. I gotta find that tape. I taped it because they telecast it, or whatever the case is at the time. So I did tape it. It said something to the effect that I'm going through I'm going through the fast pass, a fast pass of ascension. I'm on the fast track of ascension. That's what it said. It said, oh, you're on the fast track of ascension, but you're having some issues with the partnership that is no longer able to keep you bound, or something like that. And just said the partner that I chose is very stuck, and I could choose to be with them, but it would allot for me to have more troubles in life, or something like that. It was very on point. But I noticed that it messed with her physically. Like, I can see her skin changing. I could see her sweating, like glistening a little bit. I gotta find the tape. It was cool. Not tape. It's on the computer. It's on my computer. And I noticed it was going around talking to people, but I just remember it talked to me only because it saw me see it. Anyway, so the channeling thing went through. Everybody was fine afterwards. She's done. When she stopped, she said some words to release it. It left her feeling drained, tired. You could see she had bags underneath. I get bags underneath my eyes. Whenever you see me with bags underneath my eyes, because I'm not going to sleep and I'm not fully hydrated. But she had bags under her eyes, which she didn't before. She looked like it pulled from her own energetic field to be able to go inside of her to channel. And afterwards, she just looked, she had to sit down for a while. People were allowed to talk to her and go up to her and talk. I had to go do some spoken word, some poetry, to release some of the feelings I had. I kind of had that first. It wasn't my first kind of thing, but it was the first time I saw the being around her. Now, other times after this, I saw beings around people who were channeling. Beings, not one. This happened to be one that looked real odd. I don't want to judge it, because its intel wasn't necessarily wrong. It came to fruition, but I saw what it did to her body. I saw how it messed with her physically. It pulled from her energetic field. So I wanted to give that example because it was something that wasn't necessarily negative, but I saw anything that messes with your biological field is not positive for you, and anything that is higher and divine would never require to bypass your natural protection, energetic protection, to be able to infiltrate you to give messages. And again, when I've seen some of these beings outside, now there was another time I've seen beings outside of people, they look like pure vampires. They look scary. I've seen channelers where it looks scary, like a whole bunch of beings around them feeding, and one will come up to whisper and the others will fight to get there. And almost like if you ever see Lord of the Rings, like these parasitic gargoyle type beings. and they looked highly, highly demonic, and how they fought each other to get in the ear of the person who's channeling. And I realized that you cannot source out who is coming through you. They can tell you all kinds of things. They can tell you that they're Jesus Christ. They could tell you that they're Archangel Michael. They could tell you anything. You can't tell. And this is what I'm saying. I question any being that has to bypass your natural alarm system. I got to turn off the alarms to allow this being to interact with me. Any being that's of a light would be okay. It could come within your field without triggering off your alarm. If you have to turn off the alarm for them to come through you, I question their divinity. That's all I'm saying. Channeling is one of those things that I do. I do not I question people who solely get their spiritual intel from channelers or channeling. I question it because I've seen firsthand what type of beings, and it's not always the same, but once I see smoke, I know that there's fire. And I know that if in majority of places where I've seen people channeling or pulling other entities, that those entities look parasitic and vampiric. I could see their form fighting. I also know that chances are that the beings on these other realms that are coexisting with us that we can't see, know when you leave yourself open and you already let Pandora's box open, you gave up your free will. You said, hey, take me on. Just if you have this and that, but you can't really source them out. So that is why that you will rarely hear Fleur ever, rarely, I'm not going to say never because you never know, but I will rarely ever give any credence to any people, and I always question people who are saying that they're channelers. And also, if they've been channeling, just for her body to go through that metamorphosis to be depleted, if you are channeling regularly, you are giving up life force to be able to engage with these beings, allow them to take over your body and manipulate it and bypass your own conscious state of being to be able to come through. I question you, because self-love is the first love. You can't love others unless you love yourself. Listen, I'm grateful I have a healthy sense of self-love. I will 000 allow any being to come in my vessel and take over my body with my permission. And some of you let them do it anyway, because alcohol and drugs, that's an easy way that a lot of these parasites get into you, because you unknowingly but willingly allow your auric field to get permeations, little holes, little black holes, vortexes, biovortexes, to allow some of these beings to get into your alarm system sucks. Basically your alarm, or you don't have an alarm system and you're living in the ghetto, in the spiritual ghetto, because you've allowed these beings access to you via your wine and spirits, meaning that your free will, you let them bypass it because you've taken all your alarms, you've left your front door open, you've left your car open and the keys in it, and then you basically are letting any kind of being walk in your house, but you're living in a spiritual hood where these beings the lower field beings are walking around being chaotic, and you allow them access to your home, which is your vessel. When you do things like that, drugs now help. That's why when people tell me that they're drug addicts, and it's not a judgment, listen, or they smoke, listen, someone asked me about marijuana. Marijuana has a lot of medicinal reasons, but you already know my take on it. Whenever you burn an herb, you change the molecular structure of it. This is a scientific fact. I've worked in a laboratory. I've seen how beautiful marijuana or cannabis or hemp actually do well. But I also know, because I have some intellectual wisdom from working in the field of genetics and seeing, and also being an agricultural veteran, that when you burn an herb, that's why when I do my teas, even with the soursop, I wish I could show you my soursop. Let me show you my soursop leaf. Hold on. Okay. This is my soursop. Oh, sorry. This is soursop. This is soursop. I just ripped off a leaf. I have from, my sister-in-law has a soursop tree. So this is soursop. It's very good for anti-carcinogen. It's wonderful. Whenever I have these, I dry them naturally myself. I don't allow for putting them in ovens. I do zero artificially. I have these. Sometimes I don't dry them. Like some are still very moist. I take it in a pot. I let the pot either sit for a day in the sun. Sometimes I do that if I have time. A glass jar with water. Obviously, I clear my water and all that stuff. But I put it outside if I have a chance. If not, I take it on the stove. I warm my water up. I turn off the stove. The water should be like a little warmer than room temperature, depending on where you're living. If you're living in Florida, it should be warmer than room temperature. And then I let this steep on top. And I let it just soak naturally. And then I'll make my tea from that. I put it, if I'm making an iced tea, I'll put it in the fridge, and I use like fresh key limes. I put some moringa in there. I like all that good stuff. I'm going to make this later because I'm going raw for the next month. But anyway, but I also know if I take this soursop leaf, because you can smoke anything. If I take it and I burn this, the antibodies, the chemical composition of this will change. It will no longer be that same chemical. The chemical will no longer stay the same as what it was in its natural state. It will be altered. And when it's altered, it will no longer be what the original state it was. Same with marijuana. Marijuana is one of those plants, I don't want to get too deep. Big up to the botanists. I come from an agricultural family. I know this life. When you burn marijuana by rolling it and smoking it, you are no longer smoking the natural herb. You are burning something and you are creating some other alternative version of the original herb. You no longer get the full benefits of it. And lesser, but also because it's becoming more of a chemical, more of a drug. That's why it's addictive. That's why people who smoke weed can't not smoke weed if they smoke every day. I'm not judging people. Big up to the chiefers. I'm not judging you chiefers. I'm letting you know that when you smoke weed, it changes your biosphere and allows for permeation of beings to alter you. Whenever you do that, if you're taking an herb and you're taking it another way, it may not do the same. When you change a molecular structure of something and you're changing and morphing it, it sometimes allows for permeations in your natural alarm system, which is your macabre or, your auric field, and allows for entities. That's why when I've listen, big up to the chiefers. Like I said, I remember, I know it's sidebar, but I'm just going to go into this because it's very important, because a lot of our chiefers think they're oblivious to being attached by entities. I remember I was seeing, I went out with a gentleman, okay? And, he was fantastic. We had a good time. Oh my God, it was great. And he's a chiefer. I don't judge that based on anything. I wouldn't make anything long-term with someone who's a chiefer. I would not have sex with somebody who is not knowingly. Let me not, I don't want to say something that's not true. Right now at this state, it's not something I would desire for a mate, just to be a chiefer on a regular basis. Anyway, so I'm going out with this mate and so on. He was cool, beautiful. Oh my God, we had a fabulous time. And then at the end of the night, it was like right before I was about to go home, he decided to chief. I'm around chiefers regularly, and he chiefed. His whole energetic field changed. I felt anxiety around this being when he was smoking. I did not like him anymore. I'm being honest. I didn't like his aura that he was permeating. I didn't feel comfortable around him, and his whole mental state of being was no longer complicit or compliant to my energetic field around him. I personally didn't like his energy after he cheated. And I felt some dense energy around, which means there are entities around who are ready to feast on him, because he's addicted to chiefing. Okay, so that's my take. Don't get mad, chiefers. Flurban will tell you all day. I will take marijuana if it's legal, and I make lotions with it. It's good for arthritis. For my Caribbean people, we already know this. These are also, you put it in overproof rum to get rid of fevers, the seedlings of marijuana. For all the old school, a lot of the elders know this from the islands. You take, the seeds from, you can't see seeds in a lot of these marijuana things that you guys get if you're buying it and not growing it. But you take the seeds and you put it in overproof rum, and whenever a baby has a fever, you put that in a washcloth or a towel on their feet, gets rid of that fever, or forehead. Okay? These are the things that I will do with that type of plant. But as far as smoking it and changing a molecular structure, it will allow for permeations. I saw it firsthand. It's not the first time I've seen it, but it was notably recently enough where I could use that as an example. It permeated this being and changed his whole personality, and whatever beings were around, you could feel them. They were feeding off of him. So, yeah, edibles, see, this is the thing. I think certain things are okay to eat. It doesn't change the molecular structure. You're still getting those wonderful flavonoids and those great benefits of the herb itself. It has wonderful anti-carcinogen values to it. I'm not an anti to quote unquote marijuana, because remember, our ancestors utilized that for medicinal reasons. The problem is that people have come and taken something that was meant to heal you and destroyed that value, changed what it is, and now they promote it in a way that's negative. I'm just saying. Okay, so anytime you're allowing things you're drinking, lowers your field. And again, whatever vibration you are is to the vibration of those beings can come into your field, in your vibration. So that's why I say, I question anyone who's getting their full. Now listen to the words I say, full. Meaning that some people get some intel from channelers, but not all. They use some of that, and they use their spiritual discernment, and they can source out if that intel is appropriate or coming from a divine space or divine being, and then they source it out with other things, gaining wisdom. I think that's okay. But I've seen too many, especially here on YouTube land, where people are solely getting all their spiritual intel, which is infiltrated. I've seen it and can be easily, and we don't know these beings if they're drinking every night. If they're doing drugs, we don't know what biological, what their gene pool, what their bloodline is. Because if you come from a bloodline that is sick, meaning that you come in from ritualistic type of backgrounds where your family has sold you out, that makes you more susceptible to demonic attachments or beings when you're channeling to come through that used to mess with your bloodline when it was really negative. They can come through you because your bloodline has sold you out and given them access to you via their contracts that they made. Could have been 100, 200, 300, 400 years ago. So now you don't know that you're receptor to these beings, these demonic beings that your ancestors sold you out on by doing low field things, murdering, genocide, all that kind of stuff makes your bloodline susceptible to that kind of infiltration, because those beings like low field beings, and they like genetic qualities that have those problems or issues inside of them. You don't know you are your ancestors. Don't you ever forget it. If my great-great-grandfather used to murder and kill people and do heinous things, and he procreated and created a gene pool that came from that line, there is some debt in there, and there is some receptivity to demonic attachments based on his low field in his genetic quality, and he permeated and perpetrated that low field genetics in later groups later in his bloodline. It's very important. That's what I'm saying. When people say, "Oh, I'm not my ancestors," yes, you are. Claim. That's why we need to do your contracts, to break those contracts that your ancestors made. So you don't know. We have all kinds of ancestors, but if you had some heinous ancestors, I mean, collectively, the amount of ancestors has gained a lot of karmic debt in a negative way. Whether you're a light bringer, whether you feel positive or not, there's some residuals there, and it will make you more susceptible to beings attaching to you based on the fact that they recognize your blood. They recognize your bloodline as being low. So they've already made a contract that they can attach to any of their ancestors further along the lines. That's a fact. That's why you'll see people who are good people, good-hearted people, who have come from satanic past families, Masonic families, who may sold them out, and then later on in life they're doing positive things, and everything is going wrong. Everything is negative because the contract that their damned ancestors make attached to their bloodline, and they just have parasites that come with them. It's like, it's like a posse coming with you, and you didn't even know you had them. So, yeah, break your contracts. Anybody who has, if you feel like you have a lot of bad luck. Like, I know a drug dealer, and an OG. I know an OG who used to do some heinous things back in the day. I know him. I'm not hate. He's a good guy now. Listen, he's a good guy now. Great person now. But he sold drugs to his own. He harmed people by, I don't know what he did back in the days. I think he used to beat people up or rob them, what have you. He's not that person now. His life right now is so low. He can't get a break. Nothing in his life is coming positive. And people come to me for all kinds of reasons. They're like, I don't know how I can get this bad luck off. It's not bad luck. It's residuals from doing harmful things in this life by selling drugs, harming other people's families. Because when you sell drugs, especially harmful like cocaine, heroin, they have all these newer drugs. I don't know the names, like K9, whatever. I don't know what they are. All these different drugs. You collect karma because you don't see when that person goes home and the mother gets high and she neglects her child and the child dies in the hospital because she let him fall and couldn't come to his aid because she was so high and inebriated she didn't even realize her child was in harm. You can't best out what happens when you sell the drugs. You can't confirm that everybody who's getting high is not putting others in harm's way. So because of that, you collect karma. So if you sell a drug to a mother or father and their babies get harmed or people are put in more harm's way because of their drug use that you gave to them, dispersed to them, you collect the karma, not of just selling to that person and depleting their own energetic field, but you get the karma for any harm done to the families attached to it. And that allows for you later on to find your life stuck or just nothing positive or negative things happening to you. Now, you can, that's when I tell people, go donate your time. How do you clear that for everyone? I never want to give you a problem without a resolvement. Go donate your time. Go to drug facilities and help those who you helped become addicts. You assisted them by giving them that drug. Go to places and donate your time to drug facilities where people are suffering from rehabs. Go to rehabs and donate your time. Work at those places. Help families get back together. Donate your stuff to women's shelters. Charity. Thank you. Charities help. That will help to clear off some of that debt. It clears debt. That's why you see a lot of these dark cabals having all these galas. Why do you think they have these galas and these charity events? Because they have to wash their dirt. They're washing their dirt. They've done so much harm to beings in the life that they have to do these big events to balance, clean their hands off from all the dirt they did. So they give, as much as they do dirt, they will clean it off by doing really positive things. That's what all these wonderful galas, all these charities, you think they're doing it because they're just good souls? No, they're doing it to clean off their karmic debt. That's all they're doing it, washing your hands. So if you've done things like that, listen, we've all done things that we may have done in our youth, right? I've done some things that I've had to apologize for, right? And oh gosh, especially little things that you don't know, you clear it off, just clean it off. But all I'm saying is that Flurboon doesn't channel, nor I do zero channeling. I question those who solely get all their spiritual intel from channeling, just because I know what that is. Just like those who are part of the occult sect, I don't judge them. I think you utilize whatever you like. Some people are just different. I'm not going to judge you based on how you get to where you get to. You've chosen that life. You've chosen lessons. I can respect it. Like if people, like I said with Eurishas, I said, someone asked me, do I use Eurishas? No, I don't. I respect them. But I also know that any beings that require offerings are not beings of light. Nothing has an attachment to earthly things unlike incarnates. things that used to live and engage with drugs and alcohol when it was living. So it still has that taste for it, and it hasn't moved on. So it utilizes people's belief systems to be able to attach to them so that it can engage in those earthly type of, earthly type of, things that they used to do previously. So I don't judge people who use Orishas. I just said, no, if you feed an alligator every day and that's what you do, I bet you when you stop feeding it, it's going to need to be fed, because you've trained it to have to you've trained something outside of yourself to be fed. So if you stop feeding it, there will be a consequence, because it's going to look for food. Do you see what I mean? So I just tell you this to say, just be mindful of the things that you engage in. That's it. If you have to give offerings to anything, it's not divine. That's a fact. If you have to leave your body open if you have to take down all your alarm systems off your body, open up your vortex, your biovortex, permeate your own alarm system to allow for another being to take over your vessel and sidebar your consciousness, listen to the madness, then I would question what type of being would require that. That's all I'm saying. Higher beings don't require to sidebar your consciousness. That's why telepathy is used by most higher beings. Most higher beings, if they are healthy and matching your frequency and higher, they don't have to go in you and through you like that. They can communicate, and you can actually discern it. True high beings, actually people who are highly spiritual, don't require something to come inside them. They can actually get the intel telepathically and be able to discern it and transmit those messages via downloads. They don't require to take their body and make you more receptive. They can get the information from another being, because the being does not have to bypass anything. And if the being can communicate with you, it means that that's if you're healthy. Let me state that. That means if you're healthy, just meaning you're not a murderer, you don't go around raping little children, you pick up garbage. I'm just saying you are pretty healthy. Beings won't require you to open yourself up. They can come into your biosphere because they're not coming from the darkness. They're not coming with agendas. Then they can talk to you via telecommunication, via telepathy. And if you're a higher being yourself, you can discern the message. That's why some of you get ringing in your ears. That's a form of telecommunication a lot of times. It's just if you're not able to break it down, the ringing, and discern the message telepathically, it's just you got to raise your frequency. You got to kind of train yourself to be able to get that kind of intel. But that's all I'm saying. I make videos about being mindful. Don't ask me if I'm channeling, because 0, 0, 0. There's your answer. No. Negative. Okay, I don't say no, because no is not a real answer. No doesn't exist. So I say negative and 0. If you ever notice I don't say no, it's purposefully done. I know that the English language has been bastardized. So that's why you rarely hear me say no's or negative or not. I take out negations because they don't really exist in universal language. So I'll usually say what I do, what I do want, and I usually use zeros or negative to say something that I negate. Okay, that's, if you didn't know, that's what I'm doing for you. Hold on, my dog is got problems. Come on. Come. Come on. Okay, so, okay, so listen, family, and I'm just addressed this because I think I had, there's toning. A lot of you get toning in your ears, like the ringing in the ears. If you are in the toning has changed for many. It depends on your frequency. Some people are getting the low toning now, like the buzzing. More the low toning, like it's a lower tone. It's not the higher pitch ones, it's a lower one. It's sounds like a little ripple. Some of you are getting that. Hold on. I'm just reading comments on, okay. Okay, so, Okay. Yeah, some people are hearing the lower field sounds and what have you. So anyway, so that's my take on channeling, what I do accept. And again, I'm not saying that everybody who's channeling is getting negative messages. I said you just can't discern what beings are speaking through them. And like I said, I question any being that requires you to hold on. I'm sorry, I'm just reading the messages. Okay, yeah, I just question any beings that are solely getting their information via through channeling or channelers, you know. And I'm not saying all are negative. That please remember that I said that, because some people will change and morph my words. I don't say that all is negative. It's just you can't discern it. And I question any being that would require to come in through you. You know, watch. You know, just like the Get Out. I just saw that movie Get Out. It's kind of like that. It's like, who would allow that kind of receptiveness? Yeah, my dog is outrageous right now. She goes out and wants to come in. She won't open the door. Anyway, family, I've got to go. I've got to actually get some stuff going. And here, she's outside. Yeah, the low vibration in the ears is a low tone going on right now. Those are different than the high pitched ones. That's a different form of telecommunication. And again, you could be getting telecommunication from your ancestors. That's how they talk to you. You know, that's another way, that's another time, that's another form of communication, but you don't have to channel those ancestors. They'll contact you. When they can come to you, that means they're for you. If you have to go to them and take your alarm system off for them to come in your house and basically a lot for them full access to you, what you think that's positive? Nothing would ask you that. Nothing good for you would ask you to do that, right? And remember, you know, a lot of you our Bible people or Christians will say, you know, the devil had a forked tongue. When they say the devil has a forked tongue, they're saying that when the devil has a forked tongue, the devil speaks out of both sides of their mouth. Meaning that how would you be able to discern an angel from a devil? You can't see them. They're coming from another realm that you're not there. How would you know what they are? So meaning that you can't tell if it's a devil speaking out of both sides of the mouth. The devil, quote unquote, the devil speaks good things too. It will tell you good things to get you your guard down, and then it will start spewing in other things to imprint you with other information. So anyway, family, I'm done. Thank you for joining me for this transmission, right? And I just want to talk about channeling. And again, this is not a hit to channel. This is my take on it. If you have opinions about it, you know, I love when you share your opinions about channeling, things like that. You know, so anytime you want to share opinions about what I'm saying and you have a difference in opinion, I'm okay with that. You know, I never say that I'm the end all be all. I'm just saying I'm a bit of a veteran in this world. I've been about this life for a long time. I've seen a lot, and because of that, I gained a lot of wisdom from it, and I'm just sharing that. But other than that, you know, you use your own discernment. You know, take some of the information I have. If it sits well with you, you know, rock with it. If not, you know, keep it moving. That's all. It's not judgment. Anyway, so I love you, family. I'm out. I'm gonna go get my doggy. And I hope all is going to work out well, okay? So peace. Flubber.